Hi everyone and welcome, this is the Apostate Prophet. Did you know that the existence of tall buildings and the fact that people build tall buildings and compete in building them is proof that Muhammad was a true prophet and that Islam is true? I know it sounds pretty stupid, but that is an actual Muslim claim made nowadays by many Muslim apologists, including one that I debated quite recently.
You'll see these barefoot, naked, destitute shepherds competing and constructing tall buildings. And so now we know that the UAE and Gulf countries, they're competing to build these unusually large structures, and they keep competing to build newer and newer, taller ones. This seems like a fairly specific prophecy that did in fact come true in our times.
I personally think that this is a very bad argument, a horrible attempt at proving Islam true. But since so many people seem to be convinced, let's just entertain it and look into it. So the argument is that Muhammad said that certain people, barefooted people, or naked people, or poor people, or just people, will compete in the construction of tall buildings, and this is a sign of the coming hour. But what exactly is a tall building? A 3-floor house in 7th century Arabia would have been an exceptionally tall building. A watchtower is a tall building. Blocks put upon each other without purpose is a tall building. A large mosque or a church is a tall building. An apartment building in the middle of family homes is a tall building. The Empire State is a tall building. The Burj Khalifa is a tall building. So you get the point. Tall building is very vague. There is no precise description here of what Muhammad actually means. Another problem that we have is that it is quite unclear what the prophecy actually is. There are many different versions of this specific prophecy, reported in different forms, with different wordings. In some versions of this prophecy, the people who compete in tall buildings are just described as people. In other reports, it is shepherds. In similar reports, it is shepherds of black camels. And in yet another, longer report, it is barefooted, naked, destitute shepherds. We have another problem, which is that some reports make the issue more complicated because they say that naked, barefooted, deaf, and dumb people will rule the world, and then shepherds will compete in building tall buildings. Whereas, according to the other reports, it is the naked, barefooted, destitute shepherds who will be building these tall buildings. So, who is it now? To recap very quickly, not only is tall buildings very vague, we also don't really have a precise, consistent description of who it is who will be competing in building tall buildings. Let's go into the different versions. If it is just people who will compete in building tall buildings, how is that special? It happened forever. People built tall buildings. They competed in building tall buildings before Muhammad and after Muhammad. The pyramids, many temples in Asia, the lighthouse of Alexandria, ziggurats, cathedrals, churches, and so on. People will build tall buildings. Okay. If it is shepherds of black camels, then that is a very interesting prophecy. Can you point me at shepherds of black camels who are competing in building tall buildings? I certainly can't. If we want to say that this refers to Arabs building tall buildings in Dubai, are those people shepherds? Really? And do they have black camels, which are apparently very rare? I don't think so. Why would shepherds who are busy herding camels compete in building tall buildings anyway? Coming to the other version, barefooted, naked, destitute shepherds, this is a prominent narrative, and some Muslims claim that this refers to Arabs in the desert because they are seemingly poor, or were poor. But the hadiths clearly say that barefooted, naked, destitute shepherds will be competing in building tall buildings. Is that happening today? No. If we are talking about construction workers who are involved in the building of skyscrapers, those people are certainly not wealthy, but they are also certainly not naked, destitute shepherds. And they are not competing in building tall buildings. They are workers, they don't compete. This has been the same throughout history, where workers built buildings, including the pyramids, for example. Those who own tall buildings, or those who are in charge of building tall buildings, like skyscrapers today, are certainly not barefooted, naked, destitute shepherds. Given the language of these reports, it doesn't look like Muhammad was referring to these people who are building these tall buildings as honorable, righteous people anyway. So I don't know why Muslims are trying to make this about themselves, or about the Muslims in Dubai or Saudi Arabia today. Righteous, honorable Muslim believers would not be described by Muhammad as naked people, which Muhammad only used to point out how inappropriate it is to be naked, or how you will be in the afterlife, on the day of judgment when you are judged before Allah. If he had meant Muslims, he would simply have said Muslims. Or he would have said, you will be competing in building tall buildings. He spoke about Muslims in prophecies quite often, and used you when talking about them. The case is long closed. There is no miracle. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, to subscribe, and to share this video. Most of my videos are not monetized. If you want to support what I'm doing, please consider supporting this channel on apostateprophet.com/donate or on Patreon. I will be back with more. Have a fantastic day and stay away from Islam.